Hi Sam, how are you?
I'm good.
How was this last week?
It was fine. Talked to Molly. She's still pretty firm that she wants me to go to rehab. She did let me talk to Sarah, so I got to talk to Sarah a couple of times on the phone. She misses me.
Is she?
I really miss her too.
Awesome.
She's tired of being at her aunt's. She's ready to come home.
But what a good feeling to know that she does miss you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what does that mean to you to know that she misses you in line with the treatment and the whole process that you're going with? What does that mean to you?
I guess I don't know. I still don't think that my drinking is that big of a deal. And I think Molly is being stupid for keeping Sarah from me. But knowing that my drinking is causing my girl to not be home with me and that she wants to be there, I don't know. I guess I could probably give it a second thought, but I still don't see what the big deal is.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty normal, Sam, to have those feelings that it's not a big deal. But it sounds like to me that with what you're sharing, missing Sarah and everything, is suggestive that you recognize that there's some things that you need to work on. Is that fair?
I guess.
Okay.
I mean, maybe if I was home more in the evenings after work instead of hanging out at the bar. I mean.
So about how often were you hanging out at the bar?
I don't know, like almost every night that I was at work. Like 4 or 5 times a week, I guess.
And about what time would you end up back at home then after you've been at the bar?
Whenever I stumbled in. There was no time.
What would you say was the earliest that you would come home, and as well the latest that you would sometimes come home?
I guess the earliest is probably around 9:30, and then the latest, I have no idea, because those were the days when I blacked out.
Okay. So, how do you think that affected your family then?
Well, the reasons that I would come home earlier is because Molly would throw a stink at me because I was staying out too late, so I'd just come home earlier. But it didn't really help because then all she wanted to do was fight and argue about, oh, you were at the bar again, and I don't want to listen to that, you know?
I'm sure that makes it really hard to have to come home to.
Well, it makes me not want to come home.
I'm sure that's really true. Who wants to come home with that? But at the same time where you're at right now, is that really where you want to be?
Well, no.
Okay.
I hate that they're not here. I hate coming home to an empty house.
So what would you say you value the very most out of everything?
My Sarah.
Okay. And then next to Sarah, what
Molly.
So it sounds like to me that your family means a lot to you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good reason to work towards the things that you want. And just stepping back so I fully understand, because I think it's really helpful for me to know how things have been for you and where you want to be. When you were going to the bar, was it just drinking that you were involved in?
Well, you know, I did cocaine a few times, but Molly doesn't know about that, and we can't let her know. You're not going to tell her, right?
Oh, no. What we talk about here is confidential, unless, of course, something was to be suggested that you were either going to hurt yourself or someone else. So then it's confidential.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've done a couple of lines of cocaine, but, I mean, although Molly doesn't know about it, I don't feel like the cocaine is a problem. The only reason I don't tell her is because she'd never come home if she knew. Like, never.
That would probably be the end. Is that
Yeah.
your
That would be the, here's the divorce papers, we're done, and I'll never let you see Sarah again.
Why do you suppose that if she knew that you were using cocaine, that would be such a crossroad for her?
Yeah. Well, in part, I'm sure because I haven't told her about it, and also because she's very anti-drug. You know, when we first met, and back in college, we used to party together and have a lot of fun, but since we got married and had Sarah, she's really kind of become, what do they call that, straight edge, and she's not, I mean, she'll have like a glass of wine here and there, or some champagne at a celebration, but she's not going to go to the bar and drink, and she's not going to have like, you know, she's not going to kick back a few beers when we're watching a game or something.
So what do you think that's about for her compared to where you're at?
She says that she's grown up and I haven't.
Do you believe that?
I don't think that drinking makes me any less grown up than her.
Okay.
I fulfill my responsibilities. I go to work, I bring home the paycheck, I make sure that my family is taken care of and provided for.
It sounds like you've done a really nice job about doing that. You know, you've got a home, you've got a nice job that you say that you like.
Mm-hmm.
But has there been any impact on your work?
Well, I'm not as much of a go-getter as I was. I mean, I've kind of relaxed on that a little bit. And there's been a few times where I've called in because I'm just so hungover.
Okay. Do you think anybody at work knows about that?
Well, there's this one guy, Bill. He used to drink a lot, and then he quit, and now he goes to AA all the time, and he's mentioned to me a couple of times if I ever consider not drinking anymore, that he'd hang out with me and go to AA with me,
Oh,
if
that's
that was
awesome.
something I was interested in. But I don't know, because they like talk about God and stuff there a lot, and how does hearing about other people drinking make me to not want to drink?
Well, one of the things that I would tell you about that is that when you hear other people that are working through stages, they can offer you some support, and you'll be able to hear others that have experienced some of the same things and challenges that you have, and receive some support for those that have moved beyond some of the places that you're at right now. But if the concern is about God, there's other support groups that we can look for related to helping one another in a group setting that doesn't have that aspect of God and spirituality related to Christian beliefs, if that's what your concern is. So I would be happy to help you with something like that, looking for a support group, and you too can look for that, if that's what you'd like to do.
I guess my biggest thing with that is, you know, just listening to other people talking about their drinking, how that's gonna make me not want to drink. I mean, isn't that kind of like, if other people talk about their drinking, wouldn't that just make me want to drink more?
You know, I think you'd be surprised, and maybe it's something that you could give yourself the opportunity to experience, because people that go into the groups, I've had a lot of clients tell me that it was extremely helpful, and they have that same belief that you do, that it would promote your cravings, and that really it gives them the opportunity to go through the week and have somebody to connect with. And then you can get a sponsor. There's the opportunity to seek other people out and to provide each other strength. So that's something that you could look into if you wanted to.
I'll think about it.
You know, one of the questions that I had in listening to the things that you presented is, what's your worst fear, Sam?
That Molly's going to take Sarah from me and I'll never see her again.
Okay. And so, let's say that's the worst. That's on that one side of the spectrum. So
Mhm.
the other side of the spectrum is if you were to go to bed tonight, just like normal, and everything was the same, but you woke up in the morning and things looked differently and a miracle had happened. What would be the miracle?
My family would be home. I'd want to be home at night.
Okay. Would there be anything else that would have changed to get you there?
Well, Molly wouldn't be breathing down my neck anymore about quitting drinking because she thinks it's such a problem.
Okay. So that would be the change then?
Yeah.
That your family would be back,
Mm-hmm.
and that Molly wasn't snagging you or dogging you about the drinking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how, in that moment of seeing that miracle, how do you feel inside?
Really good.
And do you feel a little bit of stress relief?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that you have the opportunity to do that, but one of the things that would be helpful is if we looked at this sheet of paper. And this sheet of paper is something that I'll give you a copy of to take home, but for the review, just for you and I together. To think about it right now, it's the decision balancing.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at it with the continuing the behavior, what the benefits would be if you continue to drink, continue to use cocaine, because I think that's a significant thing that you shared with me, and I appreciate you doing that, versus stopping the behavior and what the benefits and the costs are. And again, I want to include the cocaine use there.
Okay.
So why don't we start on the continuing behavior, and this is just to orally talk about it, but I'm going to send you home with the paper because sometimes clients think a lot at home about the things, and so I want you to be able to do that if you would.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So what would be the benefits if you continue to drink and use cocaine?
Well, I like the feeling of the cocaine. It's really, it's nice. Drinking, if I just stay in the buzz stage without going in the getting sloshed stage, then that's good. That's fun.
Okay.
It's kind of a release for me to, get out of the house and away from Molly and her nagging, even though that's what she's nagging about. And then it also helps me release from the stress from the day at work.
Okay. So do you mind if I go back at the beginning, because you said you like how you feel with the cocaine?
Yeah.
Cocaine. What is that feeling that you're feeling?
Like I'm floating,
Like you're floating?
flying, just kind of there.
Okay. So is that, when you describe that, it causes me to feel more relaxed. Is that what you're
Mhm.
feeling? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you like the drinking because if you can feel the feelings without going into the deepness of being sloshed in that, is what you like as well?
Yeah.
So is that similar in a way to what the cocaine makes you feel? Or is it different?
It's totally different, but the effect is the same.
And what would, if you had to describe that in one or two words, what would that be?
Free.
Okay, free, like a release?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, how did you describe the work? What's the benefit there?
Just to be able to release from the day, the stress.
Okay. So if you continue to do those things, even though you're describing the benefits, is there any cost on the other side of that?
If I was to continue to drink?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I'd lose Molly forever. She'd probably take Sarah away from me. I'd be way less productive at work.
Okay.
I feel like I would get deeper into drinking. I would drink more if Sarah and Molly were not around. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't have them around anymore. And that would suck.
So what you're talking about is some real loss on the cost side,
Yeah.
probably with working and with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we go over to the other side and we look at the stopping the behavior, what are the benefits that you can see there?
Molly would come home.
And that fits with your miracle, with
Yeah.
how you woke up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Molly would come home, and probably with Sarah as well.
Oh yeah, I'd have Sarah
Because
back.
Sarah's like number one to you,
Yes.
and Molly's number two. And so that would be the benefit. Are there any other benefits?
I'd probably get more done at work, and I wouldn't show up to work with a hangover and have to try and work through it that day.
Okay, because that's probably pretty hard, right?
Oh, it sucks.
To keep your
It's so hard to concentrate when I've got a hangover. Ugh.
I'm sure that would, the productivity would come back. So any other benefits that you can think of?
I've heard some studies that say that, you know, if you drink too much, that it could affect your health, like liver disease, and I don't know, it causes ulcers, and I don't know, all kinds of different things. But I guess if I quit drinking, then I wouldn't ever have to worry about those. I mean, I don't have anything like that now, but I wouldn't develop them if I were to quit.
I really like that sound because what you just described to me is some self-motivation and looking at some long-term effects beyond just the loss of your family that related to your health. And there are a lot of studies and research that supports that concern. And so I think you're wise in being able to look towards the future, not just about now, but your future with your own health, because you want to continue to provide for Sarah and Molly and to be able to enjoy life with them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what would be the cost then for you to stop your behavior?
I guess I'd have to find a new way to relax after work.
Okay. But is that impossible?
Well, no.
Okay.
I guess I could build a man cave to get away from Molly if she's nagging me for something.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
And what would that be like? That
What?
man cave?
Oh, I don't know, just, I guess I could convert part of the garage into my own area, put some sports memorabilia that I've got from when I was in college before Molly and I got married. I've still got that stuff stashed away because she doesn't really like it around the house. I guess I could hang that all up in my own little personal area.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So a place that you can relax.
Yeah, just, you know, my space.
So would that take you a little bit of time to do that type of a thing, to set it up?
Yeah, because I'd probably have to build a wall out there so that I'd have my own room.
So you'd probably be using some of your time after work to go home and be able to do that rather than go to the bar.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a really great way to help you relax and to look towards the future. So if you had to gauge your motivation at this point in time with the things that we've talked about on the the costs and the benefits related to continuing your behavior with drinking and cocaine use to stopping your behavior, which way do you see it? Which side's heavier for the benefits?
Well, I guess the stopping is probably the way to go. But I do like that feeling of just free. You know, I mean, when I'm drunk or when I'm high, I don't have any cares, I don't have any worries, everything is good. And I don't see how I'd get that if I were sober all the time.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because it sounds like a fear of yours.
Yeah.
Okay, that you're losing one feeling and what you get from that to the unknown. So with what we've talked about, the thing that I am hearing though is that the number one thing for you is Sarah and Molly versus on the other side of it that you've got the feeling free. But would you have freedom? What would freedom look like in the worst case scenario, like you mentioned, with Sarah and Molly not being in your life
because if I keep drinking, then I'm definitely going to lose Sarah. Molly will take her from me, and I'll never be able to see her again. And I do love my wife, I really do. Just, like every relationship, she gets on my nerves at times. But I think that her getting on my nerves is mostly related to her nagging about my drinking. And if I didn't drink, then she wouldn't have that to nag at me about.
Did you guys used to do anything together that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, we used to do a lot of stuff together. We used to have dates all the time. Her sister, the one that they're staying with right now, she would watch Sarah for us when we go to the movies, or we'd go to a bed and breakfast overnight, or we'd go skiing for the day, or we did all kinds of different stuff, and we just don't do that anymore.
It's pretty normal for a couple that all couples have things that they work on together, and that one individual in the relationship has something more to work on than another one has it as well. So I don't know that you're so different than every other couple in the world. And it sounds like you had a really good relationship with her before, but I think that could come back if you replaced your behavior so that she didn't have to nag so much. Do you think she'd be willing to do some of those things that you used to do together again?
Well, I'm sure she'd love it. I'm sure if I were to, call her up and say, hey, can I take you to a movie? Once we got past the, are you going to be drunk? Once we got past that, I'm sure she'd be thrilled.
Okay. So I really believe that you love your family, Sam, and with everything that we've talked about right now, do you think on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the not interested at all in changing your behavior, to 10 being completely ready to be actively involved in making changes, where would you be as we're talking?
I guess probably around a 7.
Okay, that's really good because you've moved over that middle point. You're on the other side wanting to be making some changes. So looking at this upcoming week, what would you think that you could realistically do? Because I don't want you to pick things that you really are not wanting to do or you don't think you're ready to do. But what do you think that you realistically can do to help move you towards behavior changes?
Well, since Molly's been gone, I've gone to the bar every night after work, because she's not here, so what's the point? So I guess instead of going to the bar every night, I could come home a couple of nights instead and maybe start working on that man cave that I was talking about.
That sounds like fun. So you think you could commit to how many times then
I don't know, a couple.
to come home? And what does that mean that your drinking looks like on the days that you're not coming home?
Well, I don't drink at home. I only drink when I go out to the bar.
Okay.
So I guess those would be the sober days, the days that I don't drink.
Okay, so the days that you don't go to the bar are your sober days.
Yeah.
But when you go to the bar, how many drinks do you usually have?
Well, it depends. If the game is on and my team is winning, then, I'll have like 3 or 4 beers. If they're losing though, then I start hitting shots.
Okay. So how would you realistically, do you think it's realistic to be able to reduce that while you're at the bar?
Well, if they won, yeah.
Okay. But if they're losing, then you're not able to reduce that at all?
I don't know, because I get stressed and it's like, come on, and we get hyped up, and it's, I don't know, it just kind of goes hand in hand with drinking in the game.
Okay. So do you think that if we, what you said earlier was we have 2 days where you come home and avoid going to the bar, that that's because you're gonna go to the bar and that you don't feel like you can reduce that
Well,
at all? The drinking while you're at the bar?
you know, not every time I go to the bar is there a game on. So I guess if I really think about it, the days that I go that there's no game, I really don't drink that much. And those are the days that I kind of tend to come home earlier. So maybe I could only go on the days that there's no game.
That sounds like a really good idea. I like that a lot. That seems like that would fit you really well for right now to have the beginning steps into the changes. The one concern that I have is we haven't talked much about the cocaine, and so to make that a realistic part of your plan as well, because you haven't been doing that too long, but yet that's a concern. Do you have a concern for that?
Not really. I mean, I tried it a couple times. I enjoy it, but it's not like I do it every time I go out. I mean, I've only done it maybe 6, 7 times.
Okay. I just don't want you to get caught where you're reducing your drinking and then we have cocaine replace it, because that's kind of pretty normal for people to do that when they're going through stages of change.
Nah, I don't think that would happen.
What would you think about just documenting how you're feeling on the times that you're not drinking and you're coming home, and then documenting what you're using so that we can spot check the cocaine use as well?
So, like, if I feel like having a drink, writing down what's going on while I feel like I should drink, kind of thing. Guess I could do that.
Okay. All right. So this week, why don't you summarize what's in your own words, what you plan to do this week?
Well, I know there's a game on Monday and there's a game on Thursday. So I'll make Monday and Thursday my days that I don't go to the bar, and I come home, and after I get off the phone with Molly and Sarah, I will go out to the garage and I'll turn the game on the radio, and I can listen to it while I start mapping out, how I'm gonna set my man cave up, where I'm gonna put the wall, and all that stuff. And I just won't drink on those couple of days. And then on the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, if I go to the bar, I'll limit myself to beer only.
Okay. Excellent. Wonderful.
No shots.
Look how hard you work for that. Now you've got a great plan for this next week. The one thing I wanted to add to that is you're going to reduce your drinking, make your connection with Molly and Sarah, work on your man cave, is if you have a sense or a feeling that you need to make contact with me. I like to do that for all my clients that I check my voicemail here at work all the time and in the evening, but periodically. So if you feel like you need to make a connection with me, I'm going to give you my phone number that's for after hours and that, and how to leave a voice message, and you can call me. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, very, very good. Is there any other questions that you have?
Oh, you wanted me to, write down if I had.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
You are
one.
so good because you caught me on that. What were you going to write down?
If I feel like I want to drink on Monday or Thursday when I'm not at the bar, I'm going to write down, what I'm doing and how I'm feeling at that moment and why I want to drink.
That's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, that would be nice. But that needs to be your plan. Just because I mentioned it as an idea doesn't mean that you have to do that. I want you to be motivated to do that. I think it will help.
All right.
Well, do you think it will help?
I don't know. I can give it a shot.
Okay, why don't we try that with your review next week?
Okay.
So do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.
Is there anything else I can do for you?
No.
So we have you down for another session next week.
Mhm.
Do you think that there's going to be any problem with you being able to come in then?
No, not at all.
Okay. If you should change your mind or anything comes up, please let me know, because it's really important for me to be able to make connections with you. And I'm looking forward to hearing about the man cave.
Okay.